Getting yourself featured in a big publication like Forbes or The Guardian can bring huge amounts of traffic and sales to your business. In fact, it helped me to grow my business from a completely new website with no customers to a website that has now attracted over 12 million visitors through organic traffic and generated just over £1 million in profit. And I'll let you in on a little secret, it's not actually as hard to achieve as you might think. You don't need powerful connections or thousands of followers on social media. I certainly don't have either of those things. All you need to do is follow the 3 simple steps that I'm going to lay out in this video. In fact, if you're a fairly new business with not many customers or much traffic coming to your website yet, then this can actually be one of the quickest ways to build a regular flow of leads and sales to your business that will last well into the future. The method I'm talking about here is securing positions as a guest contributor to major national publications. Just like I've done with Forbes, Fast Company, The Guardian, and CV Library. Sorry, I had to think about that last one. My memory is so shocking these days. And these slots really helped me to take my business from a brand new, completely unknown website to becoming quite a popular brand in the career space. And more importantly, they encouraged Google to start sending me visitors through organic traffic, which is really the icing on the cake for this strategy. And the reason these contributor slots are so good for your business is because they give you these 4 game-changing benefits. Firstly, they give you exposure. These sites have millions of active users and they will actively put your content in front of your ideal customer, which is pretty perfect for a small business. Secondly, they give you credibility. Once I started writing for The Guardian, which was the first contributor slot I ever secured for my business Standout CV, it became so much easier for us to close sales because we were no longer just a random website. We were now a trusted partner to this big national news website, and that gave customers a lot more confidence when they came to buy from us. Thirdly, they give you referral traffic. When you write an article for one of these websites, they give you the chance to put an author bio at the bottom of your article, which is a little bit about yourself and your business, and a link through to your website. So if you've written a good article that's been seen by thousands of people, then a small percentage of those people are going to click straight through to your website, and then a percentage of those are going to go on to become leads and sales. And if that wasn't enough, they also increase organic traffic to your website. Backlinks are one of Google's biggest ranking factors. And once you start building all of these high quality backlinks from these big publications back to your website, Google will then start to recognize your website as a trusted source of information. They'll move you up in the rankings and you'll start to get more traffic through organic search. And now also you'll start to get more traffic from AI search tools like ChatGPT as well. Okay, so you understand the benefits of these contributor slots now, but how do you go from where you are now to becoming a contributor for a big website like Forbes? Well, here's how I did it when my website was brand new and I was completely unknown in the career space. If you want to take a quick second to save this video to one of your playlists, open up a Google Docs to make some notes, then please go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna have a quick coffee. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Step 1 is to write an absolutely amazing piece of content on your website. And the reason you have to do that is because once you start approaching other sites and asking if you can write for them, they're going to want to see some examples of your writing. And if you've never contributed any articles to other websites, that's absolutely fine. That's the exact same situation I was in. Then you have to have a piece of content on your website that proves that A, you know how to write, and B, that you're an expert in your field and you know what you're talking about. Because my website was initially a CV writing service business, I wrote a detailed guide on how to write a CV. It was, and probably still is, the most detailed guide on writing a CV that you can find on the internet. I think it's about 4,000 words long. It contains lots of pictures and diagrams, and it covers every aspect you could possibly want to know about writing a CV. And that's the level of quality you need to aim for with the piece of content on your website, because it is the foundation of this whole strategy. So pick a core concept that is heavily related to your business and write the ultimate guide on it. And do yourself a big favor here. Do not get ChatGPT to write it. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but this has to be an exceptional piece of content that proves your expertise and draws on your personal experience. Anything you get ChatGPT to do will simply rehash all of the existing information that's out there, and it won't give you the quality that you need for this piece. Yes, you can use it to give you some structure ideas or overcome writer's block occasionally, but the heart and soul of this content has to come from you. And if you'd like me to create a separate video on how to create good content like this for your website, then drop a comment below simply saying content guide. And if I get enough requests, I'll make that video for you. Step 2 is to start building your reputation as an article contributor. Now, you're not going to start pitching for Forbes and Fast Company straight away, because they will not accept contributions from somebody who has never written for any other websites. So you start off with the small websites first who are in your niche, but are not your direct competitors. So when I first started doing this and I didn't have any reputation as an article writer, I simply approached small job websites and small career sites because they publish a lot of careers advice content and they are always in need of good content for blog posts. So you just need to find similar sites like this in your niche. Now, back in the day, I had to do this by trawling through Google manually. Can you imagine that? But now you can just get ChatGPT or Gemini to do this for you. Just write out a little prompt like this. I own a CV builder website. Can you find me a list of 50 small websites in the career space who are not direct competitors who I could pitch the idea of contributing a guest article to? Ideally, they should have an active blog that accepts guest contributions. And that will give you a really good list to get started with. And I'll even put a template of that prompt in the description below, so you won't even have to do that. And then you need to start contacting these sites and pitching your article ideas to them. Usually they'll have a general contact email address on their website, but where you can, try to find the email address of the person who actually runs their blog, because the closer you get to the decision maker in this process, the more likely you are to get a positive response. And when it comes to actually writing your email, you need to lay it out in the following way. Address the person by name and open up with a friendly greeting like "hope you're well" or one of the other classics, just to open up a nice bit of rapport and make it nice and friendly. And then introduce yourself, tell them who you are, where your expertise are, and ultimately what makes you a suitable person to contribute to their blog. And then add a link to that amazing piece of content you just wrote, because that's going to give them a good example of your work. It's going to really impress them, and it's going to show them the level of quality they can expect once they accept you as a guest contributor. Then pitch them 3 article ideas. Now, obviously they should all be heavily tied to your business and around one similar topic, but make them a little bit different just so they've got a few options to choose from. And generally just try to be very nice and friendly in your email, because people tend to like that, and it's going to help you to build a relationship with these sites. And to make this part easier for you, I've put a link to my pitch email template in the description below, and a spreadsheet for recording every person you've contacted and the progress you're making with them, so that you can stay on top of this and stay organized. Now, once you start sending these emails out, just to warn you, you're going to get a lot of rejections and a lot of people just flat out ignoring you. Don't take it to heart, it's very normal. I've had lots of editors of small websites tell me that my content wasn't good enough for them, and now I write for some of the biggest websites in the world. So you just have to be patient, keep persevering. By all means, take people's feedback on board, but don't let it dishearten you. You'll probably get a response from around 10 to 20% of the websites you approach. So when you do get those responses, just make sure you get back to people quickly and start building that relationship, start building that trust with them. And if you don't hear back from people within a week or so, then don't be afraid to send them a quick polite chaser email just to get back on their radar. Now you're reaching the stage of actually writing the articles for these sites. Bear with me. Sorry, quick coffee. Now you've reached a stage where you've actually got to start creating articles for these sites. You can write these articles yourselves, you can hire a writer to write them for you, or because they're only going to be very short articles, around 500 to 800 words, you could get ChatGPT to write them also. But just make sure you've got a process in place to ensure all of these articles are very, very high quality. A, because they need to be accepted by these smaller sites, and B, when it comes to pitching bigger sites like Forbes and Fast Company, they are going to look at these articles as examples of your work, so you need to make sure that they're good. Then once you've written a few articles for some of these smaller websites, you've already hit a massive milestone, because all of those benefits I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the exposure, the credibility, the referral traffic, the organic traffic, they will all start to come in, but just on a slightly smaller scale. And in most cases, that will be enough to start generating traffic, leads, and sales for your business. In fact, once I started contributing to a handful of small job websites, because I was building links from lots of small but very relevant websites, I had lots of quality backlinks coming in. Google started to boost my website up in the rankings, and my organic traffic went from 0 to around 700 visitors per month. And of course, then we started converting some of those visitors into leads and sales. So reaching this stage alone can be a pretty big win for your business. But now it's on to step 3, and it's time to start pitching the big dogs like Forbes, Fast Company, Entrepreneur.com. Finding your targets at this stage should be pretty easy, because you're approaching big global news websites and big brands within your industry, so you should know who they are. I approached big news websites like The Guardian, The Independent, and I focused on trying to get through to their careers departments or their jobs departments, because my website was a careers focused website. But I also approached national job sites like CV Library and Total Jobs, because again, they're very authoritative and they're very relevant to my niche. But finding contact details for these bigger sites can be a bit tricky. A lot of these sites do have contact lists for editors, so sometimes you can get lucky and find names and email addresses in those. Or if you see a news article in your niche, you can often click on the author and bring up their contact information, which will sometimes have their email address, their Twitter, their LinkedIn, and you can obviously use that to reach out to them directly. But if you can't find an email address for an editor you're trying to find, you can use a tool called hunter.io. You simply find the name of the editor you're trying to contact online, you enter it into Hunter.io, and it will give you their most recent email address. I've never really understood how they do this, and it actually seems a bit creepy in some ways, but it's a very helpful tool nonetheless. Now, it's a paid tool, but they do offer a free trial, and even if you do want to sign up long term, it's about £34 a month. So it's well worth it if it helps you to land a contributor slot on a big site like Forbes. I'll pop a link for it in the description. Once you've built your list of editors, it's now time to start messaging them. You can use exactly the same style template as you used for the smaller sites, but now you can include some examples of the high quality articles that you've written for them. And that's going to give you a huge credibility boost and massively increase your chances of getting a foot in the door with some of these bigger websites. However, from experience, I can tell you that editors at big websites like these are not going to get back to you quickly. Nobody at Forbes or The Guardian responded to my first email. I had to send them quite a few chases to get a response, but that's all part of the game. You just have to really persevere with these editors and make sure that you stay on their radar. So what I would recommend doing is sending them the first pitch email. Then if you don't hear back, which you probably won't, chase them up in a week or so, and then email them every 2 weeks just to make sure you stay on their radar, and eventually one of them will give you a break. And it can be very tempting to give up at this stage. I know because I've been there, but you just have to remember that landing even just one slot with one of these websites can lead to massive amounts of traffic and sales for your business. So you just have to keep persevering. I got my first break with The Guardian back in June 2015, and I wrote for them up until October 2017, and I was only writing less than one article per month for them. And during that period, organic traffic to my website absolutely shot up from a few hundred visitors a month to over 8,000. And as you can imagine, that led to a big uptick in sales and revenue. And the reason that the organic traffic grew so much during that period is because of the backlinks I was building on these articles. Building lots of links from huge authoritative websites like The Guardian boosted my website's domain authority, which meant that we started to rise up the rankings even more and getting thousands of visitors from organic traffic without spending a penny in advertising. And that is exactly the kind of thing that you need for your business. Now, if you want to increase your organic traffic like that, but you don't like emailing people or chasing people up, then watch this next video, which I'll put somewhere around here, where I show you exactly how I generated 866 backlinks to my website using just one piece of content and without emailing anybody, which helped me grow my website's traffic to 100,000 visitors per month and beyond. Okay, there we go. Right, all done.